My name is Jacko Hooper and I support the Don't Just Stare project. I think one of the main reasons that I was attracted to be involved with this in some way was because I think it's quite refreshing for someone to just be sort of talking about an issue that so many people find uncomfortable for some reason. I kind of get why people do, because if you don't understand something then maybe it's a bit tricky to sort of digest, but I think it's I think most people, if they say I have anxiety, or if someone says I have counselling, or I have anti-anxiety medication, people think, oh, maybe he's a bit weird or there's something wrong with him or her or whatever. But I think it's just nice to be able to just say it. And I've met people before that I can tell are quite obviously anxious people, and perhaps wouldn't think that I don't know, but maybe wouldn't think that I was someone that was particularly anxious, because they might see me play or something, and it's something that's quite sort of you're putting yourself out there. And usually I would just say to them really quickly, if I know them enough, I'll just say, yeah, don't worry about it, I get really anxious all the time, and I have this and this and this and do that and that, and because of it, and you can see them relaxing, oh, it's okay, I'm with someone else that has it, so therefore it's more almost it's more acceptable. But it would be nice if people just, I think, had a better understanding of it. I think that's the only reason why there's a stigma, is that people might not get it, but it's not a big weird thing. So it's pretty much the reason I started, because I was really young when I started sort of writing stuff, because I started writing more poetry and stuff when I was really, really young, but I didn't play an instrument or anything. I didn't think that I could sing or anything like that, so I used to just have sort of childhood poems that would be my outlet. But yeah, I think the first things I ever wrote about, and the things I still write about, are predominantly about mental health issues, really. I think I always think I'm quite lucky, because there'll be some people that maybe won't have that that outlet to be able to sort of to sort of get it out of their system. I think it can make you sort of understand it a bit better, because the amount of times I would sort of be working on something, and it'd be kind of I always just call it brain juice, when I just splat some brain juice down, and I might not necessarily know what it's about, and then I sort of read it back, and it could be a week later, it could be a year later, and I'll just be oh, that's what I meant. And it can sort of be quite, not just, I guess entirely therapeutic, but you can kind of learn about yourself from it, as well as it just being a good thing to do at the moment of whatever. When creativity strikes, then it's nice to do it then, but I think it can help after that as well, because it can sort of it can sort of match some things up that you didn't quite understand before, perhaps. See, that's quite a hard question, because it's kind of I guess it would depend on the person, because that's kind of saying, what would I say to myself? So I think essentially I would say, sort of going back to the stigma thing, I think it's just I think it's just so important to not let it be something that just sits inside of you, and that you just sort of if you're unsure. Sometimes I think people have anxiety and they might not really sort of even know, in a way. They just think that they're maybe a bit odd, or that they don't like certain things, because sometimes I'll have that when I find it hard to distinguish things that I don't like and things that I don't like because they make me anxious. And luckily now I know sort of a fair bit about the whole thing, but I think the bottom line would be just to don't see seeking help as a weakness, because it's not, and everyone needs help at some point. So I'd say, just not I don't know if it's the right phrase, but I just say embrace it. It's you, so do whatever you need to do to make it better, I guess. Like any kind of problem. It's been therapeutic for me. Oh God, I don't even know where to start. Because there's like different types. There's like songs that are like horribly appropriate and almost like just really, you know, melancholic. But then sometimes it's like the complete opposite. Like, therapeutic song. Probably there's a song called Get Free by The Vines, and it's like 2.5 minutes long or something, and it's just really like, essentially it's just like punk sort of vibe. And it's just this Australian guy just going mental, just shouting, I want to get free. I remember being about 14 years old and just thinking like, yeah, that sounds really good. And because it wasn't like sort of like a soppy, like what I do. it was a more sort of aggressive, just like middle finger, which that's how I sort of interpreted it. Yeah, I'd probably go with that as like an early memory of a song that was just like, yeah, the suitable amount of frustration whilst not making you feel like crap. My name is Jacko Hooper, and I'll be playing the Don't Just Stare launch night at the Comedia on Saturday the 14th of June. So come down, it'll be good.